Hi friends, it's Tuesday, April 28th, and I am very happy because a lot of my colleagues who work with me on the outpatient side, a lot of my friends, who were sucked into the hospital after I left or did not escape as early as I did, are coming back to the outpatient side, which is great for them, number one, but also great for me because it means that I will now only be doing one or perhaps 1.5 people's jobs as opposed to 3 or 4. And I'm very excited at the prospect of a slightly easier day tomorrow. It's been true of me in the past, and it's an aspect of my personality that I'm not particularly in love with, that when presented with an easier day, I will tend to work less hard. I mean, that seems intuitive when you say it out loud, but the point is I have an endless backlog of chronic, non-time sensitive tasks that I can do. I can call patients, I can check in on them. There's value that I can add just without a ticking clock. But I've always been deadline driven, and I've always kind of needed that ticking clock to ramp up the intensity. But intensity in work is kind of, it's cheap, you know. It's like you flex a muscle and then you do it, and some days it's there and some days it's not. If you wake up tired, maybe you just don't have that extra gear. And so I'm hopeful that in being presented with so much overwork chronically in the setting of the COVID epidemic, as so many of my colleagues and I have been, that maybe I have found, rather than intensity, some focus. That what I have found, instead of the ability to do things very quickly, is to let details matter only as much as they need to, and be able to really dial in the essential aspects of tasks. I'm mostly trying to take something positive away from the coronavirus outbreak for my purposes. I think everyone is, and most people, by the way, have suffered much more than I have, and so will find it more challenging to find something to justify that suffering. But for me, maybe that's it. For Portia, as you saw, she takes away the fact that every night that I talk in this tone of voice, she gets to cuddle. She gets to sit on the lap, so I'm going to have to start talking to the wall in this tone of voice. I don't know if I stop doing these videos. That sounds crazy. Wouldn't do that. Just pretend you didn't even hear that thought come out of my mouth. But yes, there's that. In terms of COVID news, my favorite piece of news for the day is that the Defense Production Act nominally is being employed to keep slaughterhouses open, which I think is hilarious. That what the need for PPE and ventilators and everything else would involve a lot of foot dragging for the president to commit to using this, in fairness, wartime power. As soon as meat becomes threatened, it's like flipping a switch. Really amazing. Meat is a luxury good. No one needs it, or I don't know, barring some bizarre medical conditions, no one needs it. I mean, I eat meat occasionally if it's prepared by someone I love, or if it's just too good to pass up. If I'm traveling and at a kick-ass steakhouse or something, I'm gonna have a steak. I'm not gonna order a salad, but once a month or so, and it's delicious. Don't get me wrong, but no one needs it more than that. I can't believe that this is an emergency. But it's not just, in fairness, it's not just the administration. It's everyone talks about it like the planet is going to fall apart if we don't have enough meat. The meat shortage. Whatever everyone hoards meat. It sounds just nuts to me. But maybe I've just haven't had really good meat consistently. I don't know, but it's really carbon unfriendly. If I have lost the taste, so be it. Someone else can eat my animals, or better yet, no one can. If we hadn't eaten the bat that had coronavirus, we wouldn't be here. So the vegans were right all along. Anyway, that was my favorite piece of news. It's a little more fun than the usual. I think I'm going to talk about testing a little bit tomorrow, and direct-to-consumer marketing, and some other really super exciting stuff. But for today, we're going to talk about how when the president has to choose between personal protective equipment and a hamburger, the choice is clear. In fairness, he doesn't wear a mask, so I get it. Anyway, as I said, trying to take something positive away from this as we start to wrap this down, and I go back to my normal professional life. We're still a couple of weeks away from our normal personal lives, but I talk a lot about pride, gratitude, and compassion, and it's all about framing, right? You can have the same experience, but go through it multiple different ways. You can have the same things happen to you, I should say, but experience it in different ways. And so finding the parts of it that make the experience most tolerable, most meaningful to you are important. And for me, when I look back on how much work I have done, what I'm going to see is the ability I have developed to focus on the important parts, and as so to move quickly and gracefully through tasks, and then hope that I can then take that focus and not be so deadline driven and be able to use that to apply to my chronic workload without having to find this extra gear of intensity. It sounds like gibberish when I say it out loud, but you know what? Everyone has a right to find their own positive takeaway from this situation. And I hope you found yours. If nothing else, you probably spent a lot more time with your families. And I hope that at least on some level that's a good thing, even if it's hard to remember in the thick of it. Now, I have a sleeping baby that I have to go try not to wake up. So I have to go do the best part of my night, sneak by her and just stare at her for like 10 seconds. I hope you all have as good a night as I do. Take care.